Well, we got through Friday at the Breeders' Cup with the 2-year-olds running their races, and my selections did rather well. Had the late pick four listed with third choice in the first leg as a big favorite, and then my second choice winning each of the next three legs. So it was can't complain much about that. That late pick three was $97 for 50 cents. So there was certainly some opportunities with that nice $33 winner in the ninth race. So now we move on to uh, the Saturday card, and I've decided to analyze the Breeders' Cup Classic. Um, might as well, and so hopefully you've obtained your copy of my sire stats, broodmare sire, and trainer stats for free off the website. Although I must say that for a race such as the Breeders' Cup Classic, um, my stats typically won't provide too many real useful clues. Um, really going on form and what the horses have done before. The one exception I would say is um, what I call overachievers. Um, let me back up a little bit. When in the early years of my breeding stats, I thought, boy, I'd really get much better at picking the winner of the Kentucky Derby, knowing which horses could get the distance and which ones had better class potential, and thought those couple variables would lead me in the right direction. Well, turned out not so much, and it got me thinking. And the theory that I've come up with is uh, using the bell curve. I would think most people are familiar with the bell curve, where the 80% of a population of whatever you're looking at uh, are fairly similar, and then there's 10% that are on the low side, and there are 10% that are on the high side. So I believe my statistics do very, very well when we're dealing with horses that are in the fat part of the curve and the 80% part of the curve. Uh, if you look at all the foals from any particular sire, they would fit into a bell curve as well. 80% of them win races under fairly similar conditions. 10% underachieve and 10% overachieve. And there really is no way to gauge who's the better overachiever. And when you get to the grade one races, you're basically dealing with horses that are in that 10% overachiever class. So actually, my stats almost work in reverse. That for class potential, you see horses competing in these types of races that back when they were maidens or starting their career, you look at the broodmare sire, which is always you're always better off looking at the female side of the breeding to determine class potential, and the percentage of winners at the higher purse levels for a particular broodmare sire are quite low, and you'd say, wow, it's a pretty low percentage that this particular horse is going to compete in stakes races. But again, 10% of any of the crops from any sire will overachieve. And I remember very well Smarty Jones. Uh, I couldn't possibly believe that Smarty Jones would be able to get 10 furlongs because his sire had never produced a winner beyond mile and a 16th. Um, it just floored me. But then again, he was an overachiever, and And I was actually that was the last time I went to a Belmont Stakes, was to see Smarty Jones just miss winning the Triple Crown, um, on the day in which Belmont Park set a record for their greatest attendance with 120,000 people. And it was absolutely insane. It was a crazy, crazy day. That was also the same day that President Reagan passed away. So I got a lot of memories of that particular Belmont Stakes. But anyway, getting to this year's Breeders' Cup Classic, I want to start by saying that I just posted a short video about some money management strategies, and I'm going to put uh, one strategy to the test with these daily videos of handicapping one race. Um, the strategy basically is to have yourself a bankroll, and let's say, just for an example, you start with a $500 bankroll, and the amount of your wager will always be 1.5% of your current bankroll. So at $500, 1.5% is $7.50. So you could bet either $7 or $8. It really doesn't matter all that much for the first wager. Uh, and then when you actually win a wager, and I'm going to strictly do just a win bet, is the only wager that I will make. When you cash a ticket, you look at how much profit was made, and then you take 7% of that profit, and you take it out of your wagering account and put it off into a little piggy bank. Uh, this way, if you do really well and you maintain at least a $500 balance in your bankroll, the piggy bank will continue to grow, and you can spend that money on some fun things. If you don't do very well, and the bankroll uh, starts to dwindle, once you get down to $250 or $200 of the original 500, uh, you look at how much money is in your piggy bank, and let's say your balance on your bankroll is 250, and your piggy bank has $200. Well, to get back up to kind of give yourself a fresh start, all you have to do is throw in an extra $50, and you start back over at the $500 level. So there's a lot of good things about having a set money management strategy, and it really will help to minimize loss. And minimize loss goes a very long ways towards your bottom line. You never want to dig yourself a deep hole that you can never get out of. For most of us, wagering on the races is a fun and entertaining activity. We don't want to go to the poorhouse because of it. So you keep it at a fun level, and you always look to improve both in your handicapping and in your wagering. And I will admit all the time that I'm a far better handicapper than I am a wagerer, because I spend a lot more time on the handicapping side of the game than I do wagering. And I also inherited my father's frugalness. So even when I wager, I don't wager a lot. So, but I do want to test this money management strategy that was developed by a friend of mine many, many years ago. He put a lot of time and effort into it. I want to see just how well it will work. So, um, with each future video, I will give my balance for my bankroll and how much is in the piggy bank, and over time we'll see how it goes. So now getting to um, the Breeders' Cup Classic for tomorrow. Uh, we have ourselves a full field of 14. And uh, one thing I wanted to say in general was it really dawned on me when I looked at the number of days between races for all the horses in the field, that many of them are coming off more than a 60-day layoff, which is highly unusual. Um, in the past, typically the majority would be running on 3 to 5 weeks rest, kind of in that layoff period. We have a bunch of well rested horses uh, in this field, so it's just an interesting observation. And if you look at the sire report, uh, you see that uh, just about everybody is properly bred in order to get the 10 furlong distance. This distance category, by the way, is uh, 9 to 10 furlongs, and 2% of all dirt races for older horses are contested at 9 to 10 furlongs. And there's one horse, Senior Buscador, whose sire Mineshaft only gets 1%. Everybody else that I have data for is at least at 4%, so well above the 2% average. So there's not too much really to look at with the stats. It's more looking at the past performances for this particular race. But I will say on the broodmare sire report, um, Pyrenees out was Newfoundland as the broodmare sire, only gets 14% of 21 winners when the purse is over $50,000, and that's really at the low end in the field. Also, number 4 Mix 2 is also 14%. Arthur's Ride, number 12, only 7% of 91 winners at a purse over 50,000. So those are the good examples of horses with the female side of the breeding being a low percentage for getting winners at the higher purse categories. Um, so these particular horses are overachievers. Um, so looking at number 1, Forever Young, uh, in Japan, won 6 or 7 career races. Was in the Kentucky Derby this year. Came from well back to miss by a head in that exciting finish in this year's Kentucky Derby. Only been in one race since the Kentucky Derby. That was last month in Tokyo, and the horse won at this 1.25 mile distance. I'd have to say this horse is a contender. And in fact, in the end, I made this horse my third choice. Number 2, Highland Falls. Um, Last time out, won the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. Was kind of pressing the pace early on, and at that 1.25 mile distance, it's the first Grade 1 win for Highland Falls. I think that this field is pretty tough, and I can't really recommend Highland Falls because there's going to be plenty of pace. Although Highland Falls can sit a few lengths off, but still, I think with just one Grade 1 win, to his credit, I'll let him beat me. Number 3, City of Troy, has won 6 or 7 over in Great Britain, and the career debut was in Ireland. Races have been on turf, so it's the first time dirt for this son of Justify. Um, could be any kind of horse. He got all the right connections. Aidan O'Brien is the trainer. Um, John Magnier, the Magniers as the owners. If this horse takes to the dirt, um, a true contender. And in the end, I made City of Troy my second choice. Number 4, Mix 2, one of those great overachievers because Concerto gets such a low percentage as a broodmare sire of the higher class races. Um, won the Pacific Classic, a grade 1 last time out over this track at this distance. Um, and like the one we just looked at, this is the first grade 1 win for Mix 2. The career start number 15 and likes to be fairly close to the pace. There seems to be a good amount of horses that want to be on or very close to the lead. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm going to take a stand against Mix 2 um, and move on to number 5, Senior Buscador. Making third start off a long layoff. Um, has one win back in February, and you have to go a long ways back to previous win before that, which was over this track. But really, in total, the last 10 races for this 6-year-old horse doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Number 6, Derma Soktakat. Sorry for the mispronunciation. 4-year-old colt, based in Japan. Raced 3 times this year, hasn't hit the board. Has won $3.4 million in his 13 career races. It's been a while since been in the winner's circle. Last time was in Dubai. 1 for 4 at the distance. I'll take a stand against him. Number 7, Yushba Tesoro, another Japanese-based horse. 11 for 35 career-wise, 4 for 6 at the distance. Only 3 races this year, finished second in all 3. Not impossible, but willing to take a stand. Raced in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, finished 5th. Again, I'll let him. Number 8, Pyrenees. Last 2 races were the first couple times he tried Grade 1 company. Once at Churchill and then at Saratoga, and laid a few lengths off the early pace and finished second in each of those races. The last one was the Jockey Club Gold Cup at a mile and a quarter. Only 10 career races. This horse is certainly on the improve. I made him my 4th choice. Could be a good price if he could get into the exotics. Certainly help the price quite a bit. Number 9, Fierceness. Had just a horrible time of it in the Kentucky Derby this year as the favorite, and has rebounded from that horrible day to win the Grade 2 Jim Dandy at Saratoga, going a mile and an eighth. Again, being close to the early lead, and did so again in the Travers, going this mile and a quarter distance, and won that. So Fierceness really showing that he's a good quality horse. I'm making him my top selection. Number 10, Tapit Trice. Won 2 of 3 this year, a Grade 3 and a Grade 2. The last time out was the Woodward Grade 2 at Aqueduct at a mile and an eighth. Has a Grade 1 win, but that's way back last year in the Bluegrass at Keeneland. Likes to be a few lengths off the early pace. like so many boys, going to be interesting to see how everybody gets their position in this particular race. I'll take a stand against Tapit twice. Sierra Leone. Um, let's see, he's 2 for 6 this year. Finished third to Fierceness in the Travers, and second to Fierceness in the Jim Dandy. Likes to come from well out of it. Um, Based on that, certainly could potentially get into superfecta or a triple, but I'm not including him in my top 4 selections. Number 12, Arthur's Ride, does his best running on the lead, and again with all the pace pressure, um, I have a hard time seeing this horse in just his 9th career start. He's won 4 of 8. Uh, has won at this distance. But that came against much lesser, and sadly, Bill Mott is just in a bad stretch right now. Happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Us horse players and the owners and the trainers, and life for everybody comes in streaks, both good streaks and bad streaks. Number 13, Newgate, 1 for 2 at the distance, 1 for 5 this year. One win was a grade 1 win at this distance in Santa Anita. Bob Baffert trained. Frankie Dettori rides. Certainly not impossible. Again, another one that likes to stalk, to be a couple lengths off the early pace. And from post 13, far too likely to get a very wide trip, making it very difficult to see this colt get the job done. Number 14 next. Boy, you see lots of wins. Next has won 9 of his last 10, 13 and 23 in his career. Won all 4 starts this year. Problem is, again, likes to be on or very close to the early lead and drew post 14. And all these wins that he's mounted up have come against lesser. There's a grade 2, couple grade 2s, actually 3 grade 2s over the last 10 races, never a grade 1. Hasn't raced exactly at a mile and a quarter, but typically his next runs longer distances, a mile and a half or a mile and 3/4. So he just likes to kind of dawdle along, set a leisurely pace at a marathon distance, and just pull away from the pack at the top of the stretch. This is a whole different deal. Maybe if he had an inside post, you could consider him more. So that's a run through the field. As a recap, my top 4 were 9-3-1-8, the Fierceness, and then City of Troy, Forever Young, and Pyrenees. I don't necessarily always wager on my top pick. The odds play a big factor. How the horses look prior to the race should always be a factor. There's a lot to pay attention to in this game, and especially if you serious about trying to make some money. But again, for the majority of us, it's all for fun. It's entertainment. If I put myself in the category that what I lose wagering on the horses is less than what the vast majority of other people spend on their entertaining activities, whatever they may be. So do what you like. Everybody does their own thing, but you might want to give my money management system suggestion a try. Just maybe even a separate pool, just for your win bets, and then you could make your other wagers that you typically kind of do. But give it a try, and over time, maybe it will convince you that ultimately that's the way to go. And it's really all about being patient and skipping races that you don't feel confident about, or there's no value in a particular race. Uh, Skipping races is it really needs to be done. There's no question about that. So I wish you well with your Breeders' Cup Saturday, and we will see you on the next video. Bye bye.